Hey, so welcome to my ChatGPT Replica website. And the name of the project should already tell you everything you need to know about the website. It is a ChatGPT replica that uses the ChatGPT's API to get the response for the user's prompt. The basic UI of the project is made to mimic the ChatGPT official website. The key difference here is that this project does not save the previous chats and some minor CSS and HTML functions. So over here to the sidebar, we have the configure settings, and underneath that we have the model type of the model that we will be using for the response of the API. Underneath that, we have the model temperature gauge. Now, if you hover over this, it will tell you exactly in detail what this specific thing does. And underneath that is the number of tokens, which again, if you hover over it, it will tell you exactly what it is and what this gauge does. Now, below that, we have some buttons here, and all of these are basically to go back to the portfolio site, return to the backend display of my portfolio site, or go to the page where I go into more detail about this project on my portfolio. And so now we have the main function of the website, which again is made to mimic the look and feel of the original ChatGPT. So under the examples here, we have some buttons. So when a user clicks on one, this example is added to the input box down here. And then once the user presses the enter button, it goes ahead and begins the function of the website. So let's just go ahead and start, and we'll click this one. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter here and go ahead and wait for the response to come in. So as you saw, the response came in one word at a time. That is done with some JavaScript because when we get the response back from the backend, we get the whole thing as is. And actually, let's go ahead and go back home and I'll explain a little bit more here. So this input box down here is a Python Flask form. So when you click the enter button or press the enter button on your keyboard, that sends a post request to the backend. However, the issue with this is that in order to send the request to the backend, the page has to reload. And that wouldn't look very good. So that's where I used Ajax and JavaScript to stop the original behavior and instead make a function in JavaScript so that when the enter key is clicked, it's the JavaScript function that sends the post request to the Python's backend and waits for its response. And instead of reloading the page, once the enter key is pressed, all of this stuff right here is set to hidden and the user prompt is set to the top of the page. Again, just like the original ChatGPT site. So let's go ahead and do this again. Let's type out something actually. So let's say, what is Python, and press enter. And as you can see, it's right up at the top, the user prompt that they added, and then it comes in one word at a time. And of course, you can also add something else like tell me more about Python. Press enter, wait for the response. And again, it cuts off here because the default number of tokens, which is the words in the response is set to 100, which again down here it says the default is 100, but that could be easily expanded to 200 or 300 or to the max or whatever. But as you can see here, each time the user presses in a prompt, it gets added on top of the last prompt basically. And again, this is meant to mimic the feel and style of the original ChatGPT website. So let's go ahead and go home. And so on my portfolio website, you can actually use the demo yourself. However, this site is not formatted for the mobile version. So I suggest if you're going to use the ChatGPT replica of mine, you do so on the desktop, not on the mobile one. You can surf my portfolio on the mobile device, but not just this specific project. And this has been my ChatGPT replica project, and I hope you found it interesting.